So I go to see this movie, and of course, like all other Sacha Baron Cohen movies, it's a factual documentary of a real-life figure, and I'm thinking, someone really needs to stop this guy. So I was really looking forward to The Dictator. I've always been a big fan of Sacha Baron Cohen. I'm one of the few people that actually really liked Bruno, and I really liked Borat and the Ali G show, so I was looking forward to it. I did have my trepidation. I thought the trailers were okay. I mean, they made it look like there was a lot of good material. A lot of Sacha Baron Cohen's humor is based on shock value from his other movies, and it's always worked very well by at the same time just making a good movie, but I wasn't sure how he would transition into satire, and I have to say he's done it quite well, and still keeps the same crude and over-the-top air that the other movies had. It really is a great addition to his list of characters. The movie is hysterical. It's not up there with Borat, but it's still very, very funny. The story is okay, really. I mean, it's one of his first movies where he really has to put more thought into an actual story and this progression of events. The story itself is okay. I didn't really care for it all that much, but it carries the movie, and, just Sacha Baron Cohen, and actually another great cast otherwise. John C. Reilly, Ben Kingsley. Anna Faris is in this. I thought she was kind of a random choice, but she was good. I mean, there are a lot of flaws in the movie, more so than are really, because with his other movies, they're not so much, it's hard to pick apart because they're not real movies, but this, it is, it's much more constructed, and I think it is good, to see him do this. It's a lot less brazen and extremely raunchy. I mean, his movie set, a new bar for raunchy. So it's in comparison, it's still pretty bad, but it's not quite as bad as the other movies. And it gives him a more of a comfort zone to experiment, with different things with his characters. It is nice to see this side of him with, slightly more restrained, because it gives him an opportunity to, do a different kind of material, and that is good to see, and I feel like he can perfect that, or, really strengthen that for future movies. I think the movie more or less so does miss the mark on a lot of potential social criticisms, because I know that's always been one of Sacha Baron Cohen's, purposes for these movies like Borat and Bruno. Even if they're not so clear and intelligent at times, they're supposed to kind of expose things in society that are ridiculous, or, just provide some sort of perspective, through satire, through this extremely funny movies. But I think here, I expected to be his most outright socio-political criticism yet, because, it's The Dictator. It was announced in the light of the Arab Spring, clearly heavily influenced by that, and I think, for that reason, I was really excited to see, like, oh, this is going to be balls out, he's going to ripping these people apart, and it is there. It definitely is there, but I think he goes for the easier jokes that aren't less funny, but they're not quite as pointed as I'd like to see. That, where you can really tell that he's these digs at these figures in the real world. And I think that, that was one of my biggest disappointments, but it's still there. There still are a number of really great points of commentary, but just not as strong as I think they could have been. Otherwise, it's still a great romp. It really is a lot of fun just to watch Sacha Baron Cohen do anything. Yet again, it's like any of his other movies. It's not for the easily offended, because it is still very, very intensive on crude comedy and, racial stuff. Pretty much, everything in the book that could offend someone, it goes through it like the other movies. I was debated about going a little lower, but I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, and I know I gave Dark Shadows an 8 last week, and, it's kind of that mid-rating is where, right between where I like something and where I think it's really good, and I apologize, I don't like to, repetitiously give the same rating, but this is right where it falls. Please tell me what you thought of the movie, tell me what you thought of the review, subscribe, all that stuff, and reviews coming up for Battleship, and what to expect when you're expecting, so stay tuned. Okay, so what kind of crazy awesome idea for a sequel would be Wadia and Kazakhstan declare war on each other, and then Borat and Aladdin just have an all-out epic brawl.